Okay, we're back to talk about Paradise, Season 2, Episode 6, titled Jane. This episode written by Nadra Whitatella and directed by Liza Johnson. In 1997, a man receives a message about a baby that will be born on a specific time and date, and that she will be a killer. Jane Driscoll is born at this time, and the man confronts her mother about this message. Jane's mother goes on to mistreat her during her childhood because of this warning. Later, in Secret Service training, Jane seems to discover more about her purpose, but she ends up attacking and pretty grotesquely injuring a colleague who got a promotion instead of her mentor. In the present, Redmond sends Driscoll to deliver the terms of negotiation to Link and his group outside the bunker, and she gains Redmond's approval after doing that. Anders, Jeremy, and Agent Robinson team up to try to escape the prison after Anders tells Jeremy that the doors to the bunker will open if the oxygen supply can be cut off. Tarabi tells Jane she knows all about Redmond and is going to start coming after her. Near Atlanta, Collins is getting ready to set off the bomb, but Gary sabotages it and causes the bomb to go off early. Narrowly escaping the explosion, Xavier sees Terry amongst a crowd of people who are pointing guns at him. I was kind of struck by the fact of what we talked about last week that maybe there could have been 3 more minutes of
Yeah.
Atlanta in last week's episode, and we got about 3 minutes of Atlanta in this episode, and just sort of some resolution. Nothing happened. We don't know what's going to happen with Xavier and the Terry reunion, but yeah, maybe that little bit of Atlanta that we got as bookends here should have been on last week's.
Yeah, I mean it's odd. The only thing I can say there is I guess the decision was made they wanted to leave us with the cliffhanger that they left us with last week.
Yeah.
Although it's still something of a cliffhanger this week, as you say, because like the story doesn't progress all that far. All right. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm okay with it. I mean, my I'm glad that they did go back and forth. That was one thing I thought as I was starting the episode because I was fully prepared for this to entirely be an episode centered on Jane with
Yeah.
Jane flashbacks, and we're in the bunker and we don't go to Atlanta at all. So I was kind of heartened when, not very far into the episode, I think maybe after the credits, they go to Atlanta.
Yes.
And then the story doesn't progress that much at all. You know,
Nope.
we get some Xavier saying some sappy stuff, as is his wont. And then, okay, then we are back to Jane and we are back to the bunker. And I recall thinking about, I don't know, 40 minutes into this episode. It's like, is that all of the Atlanta we're going to get? You know,
Yes.
because they didn't go back to it. And then they do toward the end. And yeah, I mean, this is more or less what I was looking for last week when we talked about being a little bit frustrated. When it comes down to it, I suppose it's fine. But as maybe part of what you were thinking is structurally, it might have made sense to just tag that bit on to last week and then have this week all about Jane and the bunker. But
Yeah. It
a
just
minor
was.
quibble, I guess.
I get to your point. There were, yeah, I guess sort of two cliffhangers. The one where Gary shoots Ennis at the end of last episode, and then this one where the bomb goes off and we see Terry and their reunion will surely come soon. It just was odd to see, yes, this very strange and curious open to the show going back to 1997 that we find out is about Jane, and then have 40 minutes of the show be about Jane, her history, the current time about her, and then just these little segments about, yeah, like I said, I'm glad that we've got it. I'm glad we don't have to now spend time in another episode figuring out, what's what's the status of Xavier. But there's still a lot of work to be done there in terms of, what do they think about him? What is the repercussions for Gary? Can Terry convince them that he's not, trying to harm them? So there's lots to do there. Just, yeah, just kind of odd that they decided to structure it that way.
Yeah, but I think ultimately it works okay. And yeah, I don't know if it's the best artistic choice, but as a weekly television show, I get it. You know,
Mhm.
that's what
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
think is they
yeah.
wanted to leave us on the cliffhanger they left us on last week, but then they didn't want to leave us hanging in the same way all the way until next week. So
Right.
we got a little bit. Does it fit in, thematically with the rest of the episode? I'm not so sure about that. But
Yeah.
let's go ahead and talk that stuff through a little bit more first then, and then go to the Jane stuff, which is
Okay.
you know, most of the episode. Um, I wasn't terribly surprised when Terry shows up at the end. She was at the train, so I was kind of right about that. I speculated that that might be the case. Trying to fill in the gaps. And given the kind of show this is, I wouldn't be surprised if they fill in the gaps for us explicitly, but I don't think they need to. I don't think
Yeah.
they need to. You know, Bean sees Gary killing Enos, um, runs and tells Terry. They figure it out. They go to the train, and yeah. All right. I don't know that I need to see that. What about you?
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm trying to square this circle a little bit. The idea that he killed Ennis so that Ennis wouldn't tell Terry about these people. Do I have that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
And
believe so.
so now we are here some amount of time later, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, can't be too long, where Xavier shows up, and yet Terry is with these people at the train. So who told her? How did she find out? How did she get there? Maybe also where's Bean and all sorts of other things that this is what Gary was trying to prevent was her going there. So I guess he set up the Xavier plot to try to sabotage him because she is there, and he wants to try to get her back. That timeline confused me a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because he wants to get her back now that I'm thinking through how things go, right? Because, first of all, I don't think Gary has a plan so much as he is making decisions to do things. At the same time, there's almost no way to talk about it other than to use language of, what his plan is.
Yeah.
Xavier shows up. He learns Xavier's Terry's husband. Given what's just happened, um, it's no good, right? To
Yeah.
say like, well, Terry was here, but she ran away because I killed Edith and so on and so forth, right? Like, in other words, for Xavier to know the truth would turn Xavier against Gary very quickly, right? And
Yes.
of course, when he
Yes.
meets, Xavier's already pointing a gun at him, you know. So I'm reading Gary as more trying to weasel his way out of this difficulty that now Xavier has shown up,
Right.
right? So he kind of spins his tail like he's helping him, and when it comes down to it, makes the decision to try to kill Xavier by detonating that bomb while he's still right there. I don't know that he's trying to get Terry back so much as just solve the Xavier problem.
Yeah.
It's not plausible
He's
that he would like quote get Terry back anyway.
right. And I think he's starting to learn that at first it was, oh, there's no way you'll get away with this. Now is learning more about Xavier, his not only background, but skills and determination, and thinking, oh, he could succeed with this plan. I can't let that happen because he'll learn the truth. So we got to take care of this right now.
Yeah, like maybe the initial idea was I'm gonna get Xavier to try to
Yeah.
take on all of these armed guards and he's gonna fail,
Right.
right? And then if Gary starts thinking he might succeed, then he's gonna blow him up, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So I don't know, from what you said, maybe we do want them to fill in the gap a little bit more than they have. I find myself almost more curious about the other people who just disappeared from the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we're gonna check in with them either.
No,
Uh,
we're not in that storyline. We're not going backwards in time anymore. I'm sure of that.
I kind of don't think we will either. So just fill it in, as best you can, make sense of things. And then, yeah, now Xavier's in a pickle. Um, he intended, and he's pretty clear about this, he intended to explode his bomb far enough away from everyone so that no one would get hurt. He just wants to cause a distraction, right?
Right.
And also not, destroy the train or anything like that, right?
Correct.
But because Gary decides to detonate the bomb, Xavier throws it where?
Yeah.
Did he damage anything? Did he hurt anyone?
Yeah.
I don't think we've got answers to those questions, but I would definitely expect those answers to feed into how these people are going to react. Because fortunately for Xavier, his wife's there to help explain at least some aspect of you know, what was going on here and get them to forgive Xavier or whatever. But, if he blew up their fuel or something, then
Yeah. And if I'm
where we're at.
Gary, am I not just booking it out of there? I mean, there's
Oh,
realistically a chance
yeah.
we'll never see him again. I mean, he's gone.
Jerry runs away. He's got to be running away. Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Even if we presume that with Terry's help, Xavier manages to um, get these people to forgive him or whatever, right? This is what we want, I take it. Certainly what they want. Because then, presuming the train is in working order and they're getting their fuel and everything, they're going to be off to Colorado. Terry and Xavier are on the train to Colorado
Hmm.
and good, right? Like, I think that's what we want narratively. But he's still got to go get that baby.
That that darn baby. Yep. You can't just leave it
He
there,
does. He's
right?
got to go get the baby. So, given that he's at least got to go get the baby,
Yes.
does he also want to take revenge on Gary?
Yeah. I mean, if gone back to his, you know, not his community necessarily, but where he was living, there's a certainly is a chance that, okay, I can kill two birds with one stone here by both getting the baby off to Colorado. Before I do that, let's take care of some revenge here, or at least do something with Gary. With two episodes left, it's like, how much do we have time to do though? Um,
Yeah.
I'm more fearful that we just see them on the train. He's with the baby. There's the implication that they've stopped and they're on the way. Again, this is not like they're in Denver. They're in Atlanta on a slow moving train, and I predict he's got to make it there by the end of the season. We have two episodes left, so I don't know how much we can do at this point.
Okay, but he might make it there at the end of the season,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like that could be how the season ends. Train rolls into Colorado, right?
Yes.
Um, so yeah, we'll see. It's to me an interesting kind of character question with regard to Xavier, because of course you're mad at Gary,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but you don't really have the kind of structures in place where it would quite even make sense to talk about bringing Gary to justice. You know what I mean? Um, so do you have the thought of enacting quote unquote justice
Yeah.
that would be through revenge? And I'm not sure if Xavier's that guy. So that could be an interesting question for the series to explore.
Yeah.
Maybe they will, maybe they won't. So we'll see what happens there, and then I guess let's go to the other stuff. This is the bulk of the episode. You mentioned the flashbacks with Jane and the present timeline. I guess I kind of want to start with the present timeline. I feel like I'm working backwards, but because we were just thinking about the possibility that Xavier and Terry get on that train,
Yep.
what's going to be going on when they get to Colorado? Presuming that they do get there. And if you put all this together, it could be pretty chaotic, right? You've got Link and his group outside the bunker. In the previously on, they gave us the comment about not waiting for the train.
Right.
Um, Jane goes out, they negotiate a meeting. Is that meeting going to happen? I don't even know because you've got the other plot thread where Jeremy, Anders, and Robinson are carrying out their plan, which you mentioned in your summary, right? Where what Anders says is that if you shut off the oxygen, open up, make all the doors open, right? Well, you can't have everyone suffocate. Okay, I guess. But if the door's open and Lincoln, everyone's outside, they're just going to come in. I
Yeah,
think
so
with
we
their
we
guns.
needed something to synchronize the timelines here of that, meeting, which presumably would happen like the next day or something, to not happen, or something to happen to throw some chaos into this, or throw a delay into it so that Collins can get there. So this sense of the doors fly open and this is just speculation. The doors fly open and Jeremy and Anders and Robinson get out. They said these people are dangerous. You don't want to go in there and meet with them. Giving them some intel, or to your point, are the doors blown off and the Link group just starts making their way in, and Collins has to show up later and sort of save the day. That kind of that kind of timeline.
Yeah, really curious to see where they go there,
Yeah,
um, because it is a possibility that Link and his group with their guns just come in, presuming that this plan works and they open the doors to the bunker as they're trying to do.
right.
Not entirely clear to me why Jeremy wants to do this. Does he just want to leave, do you think? Or see what it's like outside? Or
I think I think he wants to continue the maybe the natural progression of the path last year, where they're exposing things little bits at a time, and they're going to expose that, oh, you can actually go outside and look, it's just fine. Everything is all right. But then that also just really leads me to question the failsafe of, well, if something happens to our oxygen, even though we're in apocalypse, these doors just open, right? And we're allowing it everything. I'm not exactly sure that was the best plan, but here we are.
yeah, I mean, might be nuclear winter outside, but you've got to pop the doors open. But yeah, no, no, no. I mean, don't know what else to say about that because it's not really plausible. I mean, you can get the idea that, oh, if something happens to the oxygen, that would be a problem. But one thing along those lines that I was trying to recall, I want to ask if you remember. Like maybe I need to revisit season one, episode seven. Cal ultimately sets off an EMP instead of nuking the world,
Right.
right? Did Was it Sinatra who gave him the EMP thing? Does she know? Was that part of her plan that he would do an EMP instead of letting the nukes all drop? Or
I thought she was in the camp of, let's everyone nuke each other, sort of destabilize the world and destroy the world so that we're the people in the bunker that have survived.
yeah, was she in the nuke camp? That's the question I found myself asking. May have to revisit that episode
Yeah,
for
I have to look back into that. I don't recall.
because what you just said is sort of what I was thinking, but as we're moving into season two, and I'm weirdly almost kind of feeling like I'm on her side,
Yeah.
not because I think she's a good person, but because from what I can gather about what she's trying to do and why, it does seem like she's trying to like save humanity from extinction or,
Right. Right.
keep the planet from turning into Venus. Like, I'm sorry. If it's if your question is what do I have to do to keep the planet from turning into Venus, I don't
There
know, man.
there can be some extreme measures that have to
Anything.
be taken. Yes. Yeah.
Extreme measures are on the table. But if she was on the side of the nukes, then that's a wrinkle to that, I
Yeah,
suppose.
I'll need to revisit that. I don't recall.
I'm thinking that I'm going to need to. And apologies to people listening, like remember these details better than we apparently do. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big thing I'm thinking about in terms of what exactly her plan is, and we've just gotten some little clues, and those clues seem to relate to Alex.
Hmm.
And I feel like this episode has confirmed for me that Alex is some kind of like super intelligent computer.
Yeah, it's a computer or it's a program or it's a failsafe or something that I mean that she believes is going to save them all. And I think it's becoming more and more clear that this is going to be the big reveal, in the last episode of the season of what this is and what's going to happen and what the implications are if you activate this thing, whatever it is. So yeah, it's what exactly it will do, I think is unclear, but I think you're heading down the right path. That this is something she has set up that has the ability to both save and destroy everyone simultaneously.
Yeah, because okay, so the message from the Circuit City guy, the message you get, I think, is from Alex. At least it says on screen, Alex. Um, and this is in what 1997.
1997.
So we haven't really talked about time travel theories and stuff like this. But there are certainly people out there in the world that are watching this season who picked up on various things and feel like this is indicating that some kind of time travel thing is going on, or maybe parallel timelines or whatever. And honestly, Ryan, I haven't brought this up before because for the most part, I've just thought, nah.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's weak. A lot of the evidence is sort of weak, and the timeline actually hangs together relatively well. I mean, you have Lincoln Geiger saying they're not going to wait for the people on the train. We can put together that that's the train in Atlanta. This stuff's happening at the
Hmm.
same time, more or less, and so on. You've got the weird, seemingly shared vision between Link and Xavier and their nosebleeds.
Yeah.
That's a trope. Okay. You've got some other comments in there about time and so on and so forth. So, all right. But here, it seems like a message has been sent from the future to the past. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so this is okay. So I think there are two or three different possibilities here. If this is time travel or this is sending messages back in time, this is a wild thing to introduce if we are just following a sort of linear path or a lost style flashback and current timeline version of this show. Okay, this is
Yeah.
like I said, the evidence is I don't think necessarily strong. But what besides this unknown entity of Alex could have done that, right? I don't know what else it could be. Then there's the possibility that I think the most famously, Westworld did this in their first season, where we have sort of divergent timelines where we thought all along we've been on the same timeline with multiple stories going on, but we're actually not. Or we thought all along that we were in the present day, but actually we were in the past. That those types of things could be uncovered.
Yeah.
I tend to lean towards that type of reality and not well, all of a sudden here towards the end of season two, we've got communication happening, 30 years in the past that we didn't know was possible.
Yeah, I wonder. It's funny that you mentioned Westworld, or maybe not, because I was thinking about this as well. Westworld season one in particular.
Hmm.
And it just, and I was thinking about this before I watched last night's episode, right? Um, so sorry. I feel like actually this week's episode confirmed something that I'd been previously kind of rejecting. So hopefully what I'm going to say isn't too muddled. But I still, for the most part, when I've seen people speculating about some kind of time travel type thing here in Paradise, it hasn't landed for me really and made sense, right? Yeah, I've been tempted to say many times that like they're reading into things too much or something,
Yeah.
right? Like you're trying to make this more complicated than it is or something like that. Whereas with Westworld season one, I don't know if you were on the internet forums or anything while that was airing, but we figured it out.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I guess I can include myself in that. We people figured it out, right?
yeah.
And in terms of, I mean, like pretty early on, like as I recall, the show creators were kind of pissed off about it.
Yeah.
Like, welcome to the future, man. This is the internet age now. You can't expect us to not figure it out when there are clues. But this doesn't feel like that to me because I feel like the clues, such as they are so much weaker for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet, there's clearly something here that this episode confirms. One thing to bring in, perhaps, is that Henry Miller's company was called Quantum Vestige or something
Mm.
like that.
Hmm.
So, some notion of quantum entanglement, I think, has been introduced.
Which
And
messes
this
up some
might more,
timelines and allows people to communicate back and forth. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that might more be the path that we're going down. Um,
What do you
I'm
think
worried
about
that we're
this
gonna.
this theory that this is not one I buy into, but the one theory that's out there, which is this was all just a, early online chat room email hoax that somebody sent to Circuit City Guy. So he goes and finds a baby that's delivered at this time exactly. And it's just by, the balance of nature and nurture that she ends up this way and ends up to be this horrible person because of this message that was delivered to her mom. And it's not actually someone from the future communicating to him. It was just a, you know, again, just a random theories that are out there.
I mean, I guess it's possible. For what we see, he's getting persistently bombarded with
Yeah.
the message, including on like his pager or something,
Yep. Yep.
which I guess I'm not positive what that device was, but it struck me as a pager that maybe shouldn't have even displayed text like that.
Well,
Um,
he has email, he has a pager, and a very, very, very early cell phone, which you're right, probably would not have displayed text messages.
right. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I like what you just said as a possibility. So I would almost prefer if it were deflationary like that or whatever. But
Yeah.
I definitely feel at this point that no, we're going in some other direction, and
Yeah.
the show's kind of cuckoo bananas, and it's going to introduce something having to do with time. But my guess is that it's going to be less straightforward, even than a lot of ideas that people have been throwing out there. And I don't know. So two things. First, if this is Alex, what's Sinatra's plan? Is it somehow to stop time or put us in some kind of temporal loop or something? I'm just trying to think about what would be not plausible, but conceptually,
Yeah.
plausible. Like if the idea is to prevent that doomsday, Venus syndrome scenario, how could something having to do with time do
Well,
that? Well, if you could manage to keep us in the time when the world is, okay,
okay,
then
that's exactly what I was going to say. Is you recall this conversation at the very beginning of the season where they say for a period of time everything is going to seem fine and it's going to seem like things are going back to normal, and then it's going to get worse than it was. And so if she has figured out some way to preserve time or pause time, sort of Zach Morris style from Saved by the Bell, then we can, you know, pause where we are, come up with the solution to fix things or get us out of there before the worst stuff starts happening again.
yeah. So it could be something like this. It could be interesting to think of it if it is some kind of loop or something,
Hmm.
right? So maybe all of this has happened before and will happen again, but it doesn't
Yeah.
always happen in the same way. And that could be a
Or
way,
some might call it a link.
a link. Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say that could be a way potentially of explaining the visions that
Yeah. Yeah.
Xavier and Link have, that they are visions of a previous iteration, right? And so if we follow that path, then maybe Sinatra is like the only one who knows this, but it's not fully determined. There is free will involved.
Hmm.
And so then maybe like this time in particular, something is going wrong. And that something has to do with Jane. and that's why Alex is sending the message back into the past, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. You have to Terminator this thing by getting getting a message back or a person back to the past to sort of course correct things because something has gone wrong. And that's what Alex is doing, whatever Alex ends up being. I can see that being plausible. Well,
You know,
as plausible as can be.
yeah, yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, no, I'm having one of those moments now, right, where I feel like I've cracked the code. I feel like I've figured it out. Maybe I'm wrong. I always almost hope I'm wrong, but it's still fun to think about. But look, we can follow this out further because one of the questions I have, and I put this on our show sheet, even though I hadn't thought this through in the same way until now, is how Jane's career survives what we see in the flashbacks here, right? Because we see her childhood, which you mentioned is very bad. But then in the Secret Service training or whatever, she has a mentor, and then her mentor, whose name I didn't make a note of, apologies. Do you have it?
No, I didn't catch that, what that name was. I'll see if I can dig it up.
Anyway, the black woman who's her mentor gets passed over for promotion because, of course, they gave the promotion to the white man instead, and it makes this remark to Jane about that being why, which she then takes in the direction of castrating the guy. Right?
Hmm.
Not clear whether he lives or dies. They say he's in critical condition. Apparently, she has his penis in a gift bag. You know what I mean? And that's where they leave it, more or less. And it seems like, man, how would you proceed from that point to continue to have a successful career in the Secret Service and all that sort of thing, because her mentor is not going to be on board with this.
No. She clearly her face knows. She knows what she did. I mean, whether she tells her or not, she understands the what has happened here and that Jane was responsible for it. So yeah, her career would be over at that point.
Yeah. Okay. So, did, did you get her name, by the way?
No, actually
No.
there's
Okay.
nothing
Right.
listed on that character. Nothing.
All right. We don't need to worry about it. Anyway, what if it worked? That's where I was trying to take this. What if the message from the future worked actually,
Mm.
and Jane's career does not continue
Mm.
in that now alternate timeline or something?
Ooh, that's an interesting theory. Wow. Yeah, because I have to admit, I was glad you put this on here because that's something I really bumped up against that, there are certain things, again, we're talking a show like this, we're not meant to, take this as the most realistic, plausible scenario of what could actually happen. And we're supposed to yada yada a lot of things. But to say she was part of an ultra elite selective group of Secret Service agents that was chosen to be in this bunker after
Yeah,
having a career where she castrated a colleague that doesn't line up. So was there something
not
that
just a
got in the
colleague, her
way?
boss.
Yeah, yeah.
It's her boss, right? Yeah, so maybe that's interesting. I honestly had not even thought about any of that before talking it through with you, which is so. I love that kind of moment when it happens when we're having these conversations where through the conversation I
Hmm.
hit on some kind of train of thought that I hadn't had
Yeah.
before.
So I did just whether this means anything or not, I did go back and look. So the character played by Patrick Fischler, Henry Miller, his
Yeah.
company is called Vestige Quantum. Vestige, if you
Okay.
just look up the first definition of it, is a remnant of something that's largely vanished. Right?
Yeah.
So is there something in that name combining both the quantum entanglement there and the idea of something that was there but was largely vanished, or we could see a remnant of it? Is that what these flashbacks are? Is that what this time stuff is? Is that what these sort of visions are? There's something that is going to be connected here in these next couple episodes.
Yeah, I think so. And we'll just have to accept it.
Yep.
Again, throughout most of the season, when I saw some people talking about time travel stuff, I was really kind of resistant to it, but it's clearly there. I mean, unless the messages the Circuit City guy is getting are just pranks.
I mean, I hear us talking about this stuff, and I think, come on. It's like, is this where this show is going? Is this where it's taking us? But then I remember the pilot of this episode, we thought this was going to be a, presidential murder mystery, and it turned into a post-apocalyptic, we're all living in a paradise under the ground. So I don't think we can really predict where it's going to go.
Right, yeah, we didn't find out about the bunker until the end of the pilot episode. So, other thoughts about Jane for the episode being called Jane? I feel like we haven't talked about Jane quite enough. Other thoughts on Jane?
Yeah, just I don't know. I actually read an interesting interview with, and I forget the name of her, of the actress who plays Jane. I try to look that up real quick as we're talking here. But Nicole Bryden-Bloom, she talked about the difference between playing sort of this straight-laced, everybody likes Jane in the first season up until you find out about her poisoning Billy, and the difference in playing her this season. I was trying to think about which version of Jane I like better. And I kind of like this sociopathic version of her.
Yeah,
It adds a lot of dynamic depth to her character. So I found this would be a pretty interesting character study of her for this, for the episode that we got that.
yeah, I do. Weirdly, I enjoy the uh, just I don't know how to put what I'm thinking. At the same time, you mentioned in your summary, Gabriella, is that her name, Tarabi? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like confronting Jane. This is like the most stupid thing that anyone on the show has done to this point.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You know, it's one thing to have made the decision that Jane is an evil psychopath, and and Sinatra's evil too, or whatever, and I'm gonna do the best I can to work against them or whatever, right?
Hmm.
But to go and tell Jane, that seems just really, really stupid.
I'm coming after you. Yeah, you're gonna have to get my way. Yeah, that doesn't seem like the smartest thing, but she's put herself up against or in contrast or conflict with several people Tarabi has so far, and she's made it through everything at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, it's half surprised Jane didn't just kill her on the spot or
Yes,
something,
exactly. Yeah.
Um, so we'll see how that goes. She would be Tarabi would be I guess the primary person in the bunker at this point, working against Sinatra,
Hmm.
except maybe Robinson.
But
Curious to see what
Robinson
happens.
left, or theoretically is leaving. So
That's what I was about to say. I'm curious to see what happens there. Do they leave? Does their plan work? Because we don't
yeah.
actually get quite that far. They go down the manhole. Seems like it's going to work. To go however many meters to then flip the switch or whatever Anders says. One of these things was like, really, it's going to be that easy, but okay,
Yeah.
I guess.
Do
And
you
then that will pull
buy
the doors open and then go out.
the thought that Redden would get fooled by, like, oh, here's the picture of us together, and put it on her desk, and it's got a listening device in it, and all of a sudden Robbie can hear everything that she's saying? Or is this like, I know it's in there, I'm gonna to use it as a decoy of sorts? I just don't know if sound like Redmond, to me, doesn't strike me as that naive or dumb to think that, oh, I'll just take a gift and everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to guess that she knows it's there, isn't fooled. You know, we do get in this episode her asking Jane about what she said right after she shot her. And oh, I thought you didn't remember. As things go back, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I kind of think she remembered the whole time, but I mean, I
Yeah,
could be wrong. It could be memories returning. Either way, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Um, but it's an interesting dynamic how between her and Jane, right? Because I think at one point in this episode, Redmond says, "You terrify me," and I believe her, yeah. But she's still going to use Jane, and there's a tension there. I'm realizing in terms of the kind of theory I put forward before. Jane's working for Sinatra, but then Alex is Sinatra's plan. If Alex sends the message into the past about Jane,
Yep.
so, but
Ooh,
I think that's where we're going.
Lot to do.
One
Lot
way
to do
or
in the
another,
last two
there's
episodes.
going to be some time weirdness. Going to
Yeah,
be some
there is a bit
time
of it.
weirdness. Now, since we've established that, I think, um, when the show confirms definitively whatever the time weirdness is, what do you think will be the needle drop?
Um, oh, good question. They do have
It'd be,
some.
it's got to be very out of the nose, but time's on our side, or
If I could turn back time.
oh, that's good, or I had the time of my life.
There you go.
So
There you
that would that's my, I'm gonna put my money on that one. I had the time of my life.
go.
Yeah,
Oh, you're right.
and
There will be a needle drop. You're right.
I've never felt like this before, and but it'll be like showing us how they have felt this way before. That's
Oh
what my
boy.
money's on.
Oh boy.
All right, it's been good. It's been great.
Yeah.
Um, Anything else you want to hit on with this episode?
No, just hard to believe there's only two episodes left.
Yeah, indeed. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks always for listening. Hopefully you
Yeah.
enjoyed the podcast. If so, please do leave a good rating and review. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate it. Be sure to check out tvobsessive.com where you can find written work on all sorts of TV shows. You want to follow the site on social media, search for TV Obsessive, and you should find us. As for the podcast, we'll be back next week.
All right. Looking forward to that. We will see you then.